All right, we're talking racing, and today we're talking about rabbits. There were two $500,000 stake races yesterday on the dirt, two handicap races. Red Route 1 in the Essex handicap at Oaklawn Park had a rabbit. He had a stablemate also owned by Winchell Thoroughbreds named Unload that was in the race just to set the pace, set a crazy pace, force the pace, and set up Red Route 1's late kick. Meanwhile, in the New Orleans handicap, Sierra Leone had to operate in a short field that scratched way down without the aid of a rabbit. But this is Red Route 1 here. You could see he's kind of just a plotter that hangs way in the back. He's been off form recently, run 7th in the Clark, got beat 10 lengths in the Tinsel, and then the Razorback handicap was 7th by 12 at 27 to 1 odds. Essex, $500,000 purse. He was 15 to 1 on the morning line and opened at 9 to 5 odds, drifted up to 5 to 1. But you knew it was going to be different in the Essex because he had a rabbit in there to help force the pace. And that rabbit was named Unload. You see Unload here. Unload got beat 50 lengths, 49 lengths in this Essex. But he did the job. He kamikazed the front end. We'll watch the race now. All right, the rabbit is Unload, number 7. He's got the maroon silks, white cap, Winchell colors. The beneficiary of the rabbit is stablemate number 1, Red Route 1. Maroon silks, white cap, same owners. And we've got the Asmussen brothers teaming up as the jockeys. You got the one Asmussen brother on the 7, the other Asmussen brother riding the 1. We'll run it now.
And they're off. Tarantino bobbled at the break. Kinetic was a little bit slow to go, and will stalk the pace in the early stages. Tarantino firing out to a head lead on Patriot Spirit, who's a little bit keen. Unload makes it 3 across the track with 1 lap to go. Speed Bias right off of them in 4th. Kinetic in the 5th position, getting some kickback here as he hits the first turn run. And Red Route 1, the stretch running Red Route 1, will trail the field early, but will attempt to do his best running later. He's got a good setup here as the top 3 mix and match on the front end. Tarantino decides to take back here, so he's the first one out of the early 3 to blink here in the early stages. He's going to get a breather and stalk the pace today. Unload, Patriot Spirit dueling on the lead. There's sparring in a quick pace, and they open up 2.5 lengths, maybe even 3 on Tarantino. A length and 3/4 or 2 to Speed Bias, another 3 to Kinetic, and Red Route 1 still can see them all down the back stretch run. Testing fractions here. Unload, the big long shot. Maybe being the rabbit here for his stablemate, Red Route 1, who's at the back of the field. Patriot Spirit has a narrow edge here as they hit the turn from Unload, who's shown a little more rain in second. Tarantino, he's outside going into the turn, getting closer. Tarantino, there he goes. Unload losing ground. Patriot Spirit needs to find more on the lead after the fast pace. Here is Tarantino to make it a race. Tarantino, Patriot Spirit under a hard ride. Tarantino right there as they come to the top of the lane. Speed Bias 3rd. Kinetic is 4th. Christian Torres all over him to get going. And here comes Red Route 1 now. Red Route 1 bringing his A game today. He's getting outside, and Red Route 1 with a massive rally to the lead under Keith Asmussen. Red Route 1 with a furlong to go, turning on the afterburners. He's gone 2.5 ahead. Tarantino 2nd, Speed Bias 3rd. Kinetic did not fire his best shot. Red Route 1 did, though, and Red Route 1 back to winning form as he takes the Essex. Tarantino 2nd, Speed Bias 3rd, Patriot Spirit was 4th. Kinetic never picked up his feet, crossed the line 5th, and Unload trailed the field.
All right, so you see Unload the rabbit doing his job. Watch the rider of the 3. He realized what's going on here. He's going to take a hard hold. I think that's Maldonado. Smart move there. Bejarano on the 4, the 2 to 1 shot up here. He's trying to relax his horse. His horse is the front runner. He just, it's like if a dog sees a rabbit in the field, he's going to chase the rabbit. And that's what Bejarano's trying to get to 4 to 8. It's not going to happen. 22-3, 46-1. They're going way too fast. And this sets up Red Route 1. The track announcer gave a great race call here. Other than, I think he said something like Red Route 1 was accelerating or rocketing through the stretch or something. They went 27 for the 4th quarter of this race. I mean, he was This was a thermonuclear pace. Watch him; he lets him come inside him too. Here, I mean, he even give him the clean inside run. The two brothers, just a perfect job working as a team. And it's some people don't like this, but it's a part of horse racing, though. It's been around forever, and you get these plodding horses like Red Route One that just don't get enough pace in races. And you put a rabbit in there, and it's not so much that they make this horse run faster. It's all the havoc it causes for the horses that want the lead or that like to track the lead. Uh, because those horses just have to run too fast. A rabbit will hurt a tracker almost as much as it will hurt a speed horse, because a stalking type horse, they stalk a pace. You get a pace that's too fast, they're stalking a pace that's too fast. Anyway, Red Route One from a 15-1 morning line opened at 9-5, paid $12.40. A lot of sharp bettors saw what was going on there and took advantage. Now it's on to the fairgrounds for the New Orleans Handicap, and you've got Sierra Leone comebacking off his Breeders' Cup Classic win. He does not have the aid of a rabbit in this race. He could have used one. Touch Upon a Star doesn't have any, kamikaze. He's not going to get Pearl Harbored on the front end by a kamikaze rabbit, so he's going to get things his own way. And Sierra Leone, when he gets a fast pace, he's pretty darn good. It was second by a nose in the Kentucky Derby with a crazy fast pace. He won the Breeders' Cup Classic with a crazy fast pace. When he got more of a fair pace, couldn't beat fairness, but he really hasn't gotten any real slow paces. And this is the first time in a while that he's been in a short field with a real easy pace where no one hooked up, and we'll watch him now.
They're off. And the New Orleans Classic, presented by Reline GI by Hagyard. And Touch Upon a Star. Broke sharp here for Tim Thornton. Touch Upon a Star, straight to the front from Hall of Fame, and opens up an early 3-length lead. Comorbino, Amoide in the gold cap, San Siro, and Sierra Leone is last of the 5 as they enter the first turn. It's the Louisiana-bred millionaire. Touch Upon a Star takes charge of the pace. Leads here by 2 from Hall of Fame, who's in pursuit down to 6.5. San Siro, Comorbino, Amoide, and Sierra Leone as they go to the back of this historic track, being led by Touch Upon a Star, who takes them through an opening quarter in a flat 24 seconds. So Tim Thornton, Touch Upon a Star dictates terms as Jose Ortiz has Hall of Fame right there with the front runner, making this run toward the half-mile pole. They are a length and a quarter apart. Agamarellas and San Siro looks to gain with the rail. Chance of Melanson and Comorbino Amoide running in 4th, and with Favion Pratt, Sierra Leone, the 3-year-old champion, making a seasonal bow. He's last to the quintet, but is taking closer order in the Navy Silks. It's still Touch Upon a Star. Clocked a half mile in 47.40 seconds. 3 furlongs from the winning line for Touch Upon a Star. The Louisiana-bred leader coming toward the top of the stretch from Hall of Fame, who's staying close there as they come toward the top of the stretch. Then Comorbino Amoide, San Siro, and Sierra Leone is last to make the top of this daunting fairground stretch, where the longtime leader has been Touch Upon a Star. 3/4, 1 minute 10.78 seconds. It is the millionaire, Touch Upon a Star for Tim Thornton, and leads Hall of Fame by 3. Now Sierra Leone is into 3rd, past San Siro and Comorbino Amoide, but past the 16th, it is Touch Upon a Star with his biggest win to date. Touch Upon a Star, the Louisiana-bred winner of the New Orleans Classic. Wire to wire, Touch Upon a Star from Hall of Fame. Sierra Leone finished 3rd, well clear.
All right, you see Sierra Leone plugging away in 3rd there, and he did not have the benefit of a rabbit in this race, and he is the exact type of horse, a horse who could really use one. Like I said, rabbits have been used, a whole lot throughout the history of the sport. Dr. Fager and Damascus had 4 matchups. Dr. Fager, easily win 2 of them, and the 2 times he was beaten by Damascus, Damascus was a stretch runner, and he had a rabbit named Hedivar, I believe was the name of the rabbit, that just was like a decoy, that went out and set a torrid pace, and Dr. Fager, it was just too brilliant and had to chase, and couldn't hold off Damascus's late run after chasing the suicidal fractions of the rabbit. It's been 20 years since we've seen a rabbit in the Kentucky Derby, And that rabbit was Spanish Chestnut in the 2005 Kentucky Derby. He was owned by Derek Smith and Michael Tabor. They also own the third favorite in the race. Bandini was the third choice in the race. And you see Spanish Chestnut in the Bluegrass forced a fast pace. Bandini laid off of it and came and won the Bluegrass by 6 lengths. But Bandini was more of like a tracker. Spanish Chestnut went 45-1 to the half in the Kentucky Derby and set it up for 50-1 plotter Giacomo, who came and circled the field at 50-1. And you see Spanish Chestnut's after career after that Kentucky Derby. He returned going 6 furlongs, and it was basically a horse. Final 4 races of his life made the lead in sprint races, set fast paces in sprint races, and backed up. So that was the last time a rabbit has really been involved in the Kentucky Derby, a true rabbit anyway. And Bellamy Road was the favorite in that 2005 Kentucky Derby. And you see, he always goes to the lead. And he was coming off a wire-to-wire win in the Wood Memorial. He won the Wood Memorial by 17.5 lengths with a 120 buyer figure, says with something left. And, there were some people afterwards who kind of questioned that 120. There was nothing wrong with that figure. You look at all the horses that were behind him that day. Scrappy T sat behind Bellamy Road and finished third. He come back to run second in the Preakness. He actually won his next start in I believe it was the Withers at 7-1 odds, and then run second in the Preakness. So if you say, Bellamy Road should only got a 110 in that race, which would have been nonsense. That would have mean every horse behind Bellamy Road would have got 10 points slower. If you actually look, horses like Survivalist, Scrappy T, Naughty New Yorker was in that field. They all ran much better numbers after that. So it would have been, there was nothing wrong with this number here. Now you could say it was a bit of a speed bias track at Aqueduct that day, and Bellamy Road got his trip and put it all together. But in the Kentucky Derby, because the rabbit Spanish Chestnut was in there, he had to try to rate 4 to 5 wide. So he's got post 16. He's rating from off the pace behind a suicidal fractions. Sets up for the closer Giacomo at 50-1, and the race took so much out of him. He only ran one more time. They laid him up for like 3 months. 3+ months, and he showed up in the Travers, run a good race in the Travers, a customary spot on the lead, and finished second to Flower Alley, who was a nice Todd Pletcher horse. You see Scrappy T's past performances here, close up inside, tired. He laid in behind Bellamy Road that day and finished third by 18.25. Like we said, come back and win the Withers at 7-1, second in the Preakness. If you say that race is too fast, 10 points too fast, I figure his 89 would turn into a 79. Now look at his surrounding figures. Same thing with Survivalist. Same thing with Naughty New Yorker. They all, you make Bellamy Road's number only a 110. You're making everyone else in the race's number way too slow. There was nothing wrong with Bellamy Road's 120 that day. He just got his trip. He got a speed favoring track, and he ran a hole in the wind. Just a great performance by Bellamy Road that day. And here was Giacomo's form. You see entry-level allowance, non-winners in one allowance at Hollywood Park, 5-horse field, lagged in last, finished third by 2 at even money. Wasn't winning these races, didn't have a really crazy pace in any of these races. Got the 45.5 in the Kentucky Derby with Spanish Chestnut. Came and circled the field from 18th to win at 50-1 odds, and run third, beaten 9.75. Third, beaten about 10 in the Preakness his next start. So he was the beneficiary of Spanish Chestnut, even though Spanish Chestnut was entered in the race really to hurt Bellamy Road's chances, and number 2, Bandini won the Bluegrass by 6, his stablemate setting him up. But Bandini was really not the same type of plotter as Giacomo. Giacomo was a true plotter, who'd grind away late, and he got they went, look at this, the last half miles in 53 and change, almost 53 and 1 in the Kentucky Derby, and Giacomo can grind home into a 53 and 1 final half, 27-second plodding last quarter. And that was a case where, the Rabbit really helped him pull that 50-1 upset in the Kentucky Derby. So yeah, there's Red Route 1 benefiting from the Rabbit, winning the Essex by 4.5 lengths at 5-1 odds with the money on yesterday. And Sierra Leone, maybe we'll see a Rabbit for him in the future. One of my favorite all-time uses of a Rabbit was by the brilliant Rick Dutrow Jr., the crafty Rick Dutrow Jr. He had a horse named St. Liam who eventually won the Breeders' Cup Classic and was a horse of the year. And he had trouble beating a horse named Commentator, another Nick Zito horse. Commentator was a brilliant speed horse who really couldn't be rated. And I believe it was either the Woodward, or it was the Woodward, I believe, where Rick Dutrow Jr. put 2 rabbits in the race. They were both like claiming sprinters. And what I loved about that is he put Gallop Boys on both of his rabbits. The problem when you try to use a rabbit and you try to use like a name brand jockey, I mean, they got to ride in the room with these other guys, and they don't want to do this dirty work. I mean, it's they feel like they're screwing the rider who's got a quality speed, and they got to ride against him in a lot of other spots. And things in racing come around, go around. And what was so great about Rick Dutrow Jr. there, he put the 2 Gallop Boys on. I mean, there's going to be no retaliation against them. They're not going to be riding in big spots where they could, they could get a payback their way. So, yeah, the 2 rabbits of Rick Dutrow went out in like 10 lengths in front of Commentator. They sandwiched him, one on the inside, one on the outside, made him run way, way, way too fast. And of course, Commentator outlasted the rabbits, but he, just jogged home third, about 12 lengths behind. And St. Liam, Jerry Bailey, never had to move on him. He had gotten beaten in the Whitney by Commentator in his prior start, where no one went with Commentator early, and St. Liam won that Woodward about as easy as you can win for tricky Dick Dutrow. So, in my opinion, get Sierra Leone a Rabbit. He needs one. When he does not get pace in a short field, he's not going to be too powerful a horse, and there's going to be other spots where anytime he's in a race, there's not going to be a huge field, you would think. So anyway, that's my thought on rabbits. We're going to have some coverage of the Derby preps. Look for that tomorrow. But I just thought we'd talk some racing, talk about rabbits, and that's the video for today.